go.
Frashour has got to go. Frashour has got to go.
I talked for 10 minutes, 30 seconds on. Keep talking. So, keep talking. Yeah. I said,
Here we are with live stream.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Hey, man.
Follow Deborah. I put out a press request certification.
I love you, brother.
That's a bi-monthly newspaper. Position on... Got him right there.
It's my God that my friend's gonna die.
I wonder how much community service you've ever...
Hey, Richard.
One time.
Good to see you down here.
I just have something to say that's on my mind about this whole Mr. Frashour, or whatever his name is, or Fresh Villain, or whatever you want to call the guy. It seems to me that this whole arbitrator process seems like a very convenient managerial way to transfer the responsibility of firing or not firing a policeman away from our local elected officials onto someone else. And I just think that's a level of convenience that the state has that I find creepy, actually. And I just wanted to, point that out to your audience.
That's good. And it is truthful, what you say. I think that's what we're hearing everybody here saying.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just didn't hear anybody articulate it.
No, you articulate it well, but I think that's a common thread that I'm hearing here,
Okay,
too.
good.
Yeah, you bet, Mike.
I
Thanks
just
for being
wanted to
out
share,
here.
man. Yeah, you're welcome.
You bet.
There's another bus that
Individuals for Justice. I recognize you guys.
Hey,
Picture of Aaron and his brother.
right. Remember the day that he died?
Joe, we should all join that beard contest.
Huh?
We should all join that beard contest.
We are, aren't
My wife keeps saying that every time you see somebody right here, you got to join the club.
we? What's going on, Joe?
Well, we're all gathered where we didn't think we'd be gathered.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, read the arbitration decision. It's 75 pages, I think, or 78. And you'll understand once you read that it is almost impossible for us to bring the police department to accountability. And it's so hard.
The way it's written, it's hard for us to demand that accountability.
What the arbitrator did, when you read it, is she went to the courts, the Ninth Circuit, the Seventh Circuit, the Fourth Circuit, and she used language from the courts. The problem with that is in arbitration, the level of proof is ponderance of the evidence.
On a preponderance.
It's preponderance of the evidence, and that means 49-51. You win with 51. So what happened in the arbitration is she went to beyond a reasonable doubt. And you can never find an officer guilty of shooting somebody in that circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt. That's why there was no prosecution.
So they'll never be able to prove that.
That's why every cop that goes is put back on the police force, and they know it.
So what do we got to do? Got to change that preponderance.
In the negotiations, they have to make it very clear that if you violate certain rules, like the chief of police and the mayor said that their restrictions are much greater than the ones in the courts. The arbitrator threw that out. So they have to somehow find a way that you cannot go into the courts for accountability, but you also cannot go into arbitration. They have to find some way of doing that, and I'm not smart enough to figure it out.
And until we do, we're going to probably keep going in this loop here where they get to come back on.
That's why my hope is that Adams fulfills his promise to appeal this case. Because in the appellate court, they may throw out beyond reasonable doubt standard and go with the preponderance of the evidence and then send it back to the arbitrator.
Thanks, Joe. You put it into pretty good, understandable words. I appreciate it.
I hope so. It's pretty complicated stuff.
Yeah.
And I used to be a chief union steward, so I handled arbitration. That's why I know the standards.
Thanks for being out here.
Frashour's got to go! No more killer cops! No more killer cops! Frashour's Justice for David Fergus.
Justice for David Fergus.
Justice for David Fergus.
Justice for David Fergus.
Justin Bridges. Justice for Justin Bridges. Justice for Dawn.
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 What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
We want justice.
We want justice.
We want it now.
We want it now.
Frashour has got to go.
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 What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
Frashour has got to go.
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 No more killer cops.
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 Justice.
Justice.
Now. Justice. Now. Justice. Justice.
Hey, bro.
What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? What do we want?
Justice.
I can't hear you. What do we want?
Justice. Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
No more killer cops.
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 Frashour has got to go.
Frashour has got to go.
Frashour has got to go.
Frashour has got to go. Frashour has got to go.
Not here.
Not here.
No more.
No more.
Not here.
Not here.
No more.
No more.
Not here.
Not here.
No more.
No more.
Frashour has got to go. Frashour has got to go.
Can't take it no more. Can't take it no more.
Can't take it no more.
Can't take it no more.
We're going to have our press event now. We want all of you to be here, and we want to hear from you. So we're going to get started in just a sec. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for making your voices heard. This is democracy in action.
Justice for Aaron Campbell.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want? What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
Justice! 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 Justice!
Justice. 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 Now. Now. Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Now. Justice. Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
Where do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
Justice!
Justice.
Justice!
Justice.
Justice!
Justice.
Justice!
Justice.
Justice!
What do we want? Officer Frashour back to duty as a Portland police officer. After killing Aaron Campbell unarmed, in compliance, under mental stress, with a sniper's rocket in the back, sends a message to the community that no police officer who shoot an unarmed citizen will be held accountable by the judicial and criminal justice and the arbitrator system. This decision is outrageous as Trayvon Martin being shot down by a neighborhood vigilante holding Skittles in one hand and tea in the other hand. There is no way a justice system, an arbitration that promotes itself to be fair, just, and unbiased, could render such a decision on the facts. Hence, we call on Mayor Adams, the City Council, the Chief of Police, to be vigilant in their appeal of this decision. Furthermore, we call upon the Justice Department in their audit of the Portland Police Bureau to investigate and review whether there is racial and mentally ill biases by the state arbitrators in their nearly 100% decisions to render judgment on behalf of police officers when using excessive force and deadly force in their dismissal. Amen. The AMA Coalition will continue to press the Portland Police Bureau, the City Council, and the Justice System to hold police officers accountable who use excessive force and deadly force in unjust way against the citizens of Portland. We will continue to challenge and push for a comprehensive community policing. Now, beyond the statement, this decision by the arbitrator, this decision will send ripple effects, not only in the Portland community, but throughout the nation, because this decision says that those who are elected officials, those who write the administrative rules, cannot be held accountable, that they cannot hold police officers in this city accountable. It is saying to the citizens of Portland that any officer can do whatever they want to do to any citizens of the city of Portland. We need a review of the arbitration system. We need a review of the policy. We need a review of the training. This injustice touch every citizen of Portland, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're brown, whether you're First Nation, because it means that we cannot trust our police department. It creates a valley of mistrust. It takes those good and professional and ethical officers who want to do the right thing and do it in the right way. It means that every mother that's calling 911 in case of their son or daughter having a mental problem, that they have to say at the end of the call, "Don't kill my son. Don't kill my daughter." We're saying that we won't go away. We're going to keep marching. We're going to keep picketing. We're going to keep petitioning until this department is held accountable, until justice is rendered. We will not go away. This is our hope. We've been on this battlefield before. We have fought too hard. We have marched too hard. We've been arrested too many times to go away. Justice belongs to God. Justice, it belongs to the citizens of this city, and we will demand justice. We will stand at the door and keep knocking and keep knocking and keep coming until justice is rendered. What do we want? the president of the Havana Minister Alliance, Dr. T. Allen Belton.
Good afternoon. What a great gathering this is as we come together and we stand in unison to let this city know that we no longer will tolerate what they're trying to throw down our throats. We're not going to gag at this. We're going to swallow what we need to swallow, and what we're going to swallow is justice. Justice for everyone. We're no longer going to sit by and allow that things can be done the way they are continuing to be done. There needs to be changes in policies. There need to be changes in procedures. There need to be accountability. I am asking, as I've said before, and I've said to Mr. Turner this morning of the Portland Police Association, please look at your heart. Look at your soul, I want to add, because what has happened is not endearing you nor the Bureau to the city. It is a short fuse on a keg of powder that's about to explode. We want justice. We no longer will tolerate it. We no longer will accept it. We must stand up and say what we want, when we want it, how we want it, and what we want is justice, and when we want it is now. And what we want is accountability, and when we want it is now. So we have had enough of the talk, enough of the pass-bys. It is time to do what is good for the citizens of this community. It is time that Frashour leaves the Bureau. It is time for all of the others who want to do this is to leave the Bureau and leave the city in peace. Thank you. Let's keep on going. We're not in a sprint. We're in a marathon. We have surprised the city in that we have not stopped, and we're not going to stop until we see justice for everyone. Thank you. God bless you.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now! I'm now going to bring to the podium State Representative Lou Frederick, who represents District 43.
Thank you, everyone. You know, we have seen constantly the use of words to try to explain things, and a lot of them is words of war and other things. But I got two words for you. Two words that describe what I've seen in our community. Two words. Under siege. We have been under siege. And this particular decision shows that that's very, very clear. We have been under siege, and we need to make sure that everybody who's an elected official, everyone who's in media, understands that we have been under siege. And it's time for us to stop that. It's time for them to stop that. Now, I have some friends of mine who always ask me, why don't we have more local black and minority folks joining the Portland Police Force? At the same time, I have black officers pulling me aside as I'm walking down the street, and Asian officers stopping me in the grocery store, telling me that they know that the white officers and the supervisors expect them to be more aggressive with the minority neighbors than they are, just to prove that they aren't weak. And that's despite the fact of the PAL and others. I got to go back to a 13-year-old, a guy who's now 13 years old, who came to me. He had always wanted to be a police officer. He's a young black kid, always wanted to be a police officer. He came to me right after the Aaron Campbell shooting and said, "You always told me that if there was a problem, I should talk with the police. I should call the police. But if I do, will they shoot me?" That's how we're talking about being under siege. And it is time, it is long over time for us to stop this. It is time for us to understand that it is not okay to continue to have excessive force and to say, well, it's just I felt my life was in danger. As a reason, a constant reason. As Reverend Haynes said, 100% of the time that there's excessive force, nothing's done. Nothing is done. And they may be doing things behind the scenes that we officially don't know. Nobody sees it. Police officers certainly don't tell us that, and we see this kind of decision constantly. It is time, it is long time that we should be no longer, the community should no longer, listen to me, no longer be under siege. I'm tired of it, so are all of you, and so is everyone else in the city. Enough. We have had enough. Thank you, and we got to keep this going because we can't just do this in a march. I need to have you talking with every elected official. I need to have you in Salem. I need to have you writing people. I need to have you in your churches saying, enough! We've had enough. Thank you.
Representative Fredericks is right. This is not a black issue. It's not a white issue. It's not a poor issue. This is a humanity issue. This is an issue about respecting people's rights to live in their own community. When you cannot trust the people who are sworn to protect and serve, then you end up with chaos in the street. That's right. And if the city of Portland does not fix this, this is going to be a long, hot summer. It is my honor to bring to the podium right now another real warrior in this fight for justice, and that's Reverend Mark Knudsen. He's been at this fight for many, many, many years and is a strong, strong advocate for justice for us. Please put your hands together in honor.
As a member of the Albina Ministerial Alliance for Justice and Police Reform, we underscore this is the whole community's issue and the whole nation's. In our community, we're in the midst of Holy Week, and like our Muslim and Jewish and Hindu and Buddhist sisters and brothers, there are times when all of us as people of goodwill center ourselves. And we center ourselves in an ethic of love and renewal and ending injustice, of bringing peace where we can, and standing up to injustices we see. Today, we stand on the steps of this City Hall as people gathered from different parts of this city, even as others gather across this nation, saying there is brokenness in this land that needs healing. There is injustice in this land that needs righting. There is violence in this land that needs the fruits of peace. The greed in this land needs to be redistributed so every person has life. We stand here to say that even as together we strive for an end to racism, poverty, violence, and war, which is a long front before us, we stand here to say that in this moment, a great injustice has continued to be carried out. For a state arbitrator has called for the reinstatement of Officer Ron Frashour, who when called to a scene where a man named Aaron Campbell, the father of children with a great family around him, was distraught over the loss of his brother that day, when he called out for help, this officer paid more attention, we are told, to his rifle than what was going on around him. More clued in to be a sniper than one who would help and save others. The community rose up in 2010, as it has for decades before that, calling for a change to the insensitivity to communities of color and to stop the violence. The mayor and the police chief in 2010 made the right decision to fire Officer Frashour, and yet we stand here on these steps today because the state arbitrator Wilkinson, found that there was a reason to believe that Aaron Campbell may pose a risk of serious injury to others. But noted, she said, it was a close call. Well, you got the call wrong. You got the call wrong. Arbitrator Wilson said, they were told, as the Oregonian reported that she was swayed by an expert witness of the police union. Search your souls, sisters and brothers. William Lewinsky, who spoke extensively about the action-reaction principle. You know that principle, don't you? That an armed subject, when can draw a gun on the run and turn around and fire at police officers and others while they're running after being assaulted with 6 beanbag rounds and dogs ready to pounce and arms surrounding them. Oh, what show are they watching today in these arbitration hearings? Why didn't arbitrator Wilkinson listen to a decade after decade of expert testimony by parents of young children of color in our community? who have had to teach their children again and again the action-reaction principle. This is the action-reaction principle to a young person of color. Don't even move if you are pulled over. Don't make any mistake. Don't even make it look like you're going to make a mistake, for you may be shot dead on the spot.
Yes.
Don't even confront an armed vigilante in a place called Florida, as Trayvon Martin's family has learned. We have let the violence seep out of armed forces into our communities. We must stop this action-reaction principle. Arbitrators, open your eyes, your ears, your hearts, your minds, yes, your souls, and be real. This can't go on.
No.
But as Dr. Bethel said, this is a marathon, and we'll keep marching on until this division is reversed. This can't go on, but we'll keep marching on until we change the laws of this state in the use of force. This can't go on, but we'll keep marching on until police officers are less concerned about their weaponry and more concerned about the persons they are working with, and so that every child on the scene, as we would say, made in the image of God. This can't go on, but we'll keep marching on until every child in this community, this nation, yes, this world, feels safe in their own community, feels honored, has dignity, and has life. Sisters and brothers, this can't go on, but we'll keep marching on. This can't go on, but we'll keep marching on. This can't go on, but we'll keep marching on. This can't go on, but we'll keep marching on. You know, we in the Christian community say it's always a Good Friday when it appears hopeless, but there's always that Easter dawn, so may we look for that dawn of a new day where every person has life.
What do we want? What do we want? How many moms and dads go to bed at night anxious because of the potential for their children to interact with Portland police officers? How many mothers and fathers think twice before they dial 911 because they might need help? Because we know that calling for help sometimes ends up with the death of your loved one. We want to bring to the podium now a man who unfortunately had that experience. He's the father of Aaron Campbell, John Powell. I'm sorry, John Davis. I'm sorry, I've got too many names in my head. John Davis, please come up.
Hello. I'd like to thank the community for coming out and the leaders.
Just closer.
Okay, I'd like to thank the community for coming out and the leaders who've already spoken most of my mind about this situation. These kind of things are not things that most of us want to be a part of, as being involved in, but you know, conditions create a situation where we have to show up, we have to stand up for what's right. And you know, for a Frashour to come back, if there was a reasonable reason why, you know, they had allowed him to come back, and with balancing the odds as far as sharing from both sides of the community what has happened, they might have a more balanced reasons why he should come back. But they don't. You know, it's just all one-sided. I think if we look into the ways these laws are and do something about the laws as far as grand jury proceedings, and if we make the laws for officials closer to what the citizens has to face as far as what, you know, dealing with issues, then I think it would be a more balanced society, would be a more happier society. Police officers would be more happier, and the citizens would be more happier, because they would be facing close to the same laws that we face. But they don't face the same laws we face. The issues are different. I got a lot on my mind, and it's hard to speak, and it's tough.
That's fine. Okay.
The main thing I'm saying is, let's look at these laws. Let's look at changing some of these rules. It's unfair with grand jury proceedings that they have just a prosecutor, and then they have to just make a decision based on that one-sided information that the prosecutor presents. The police work for the city. I don't have a problem with the job. I have a problem with the way a lot of things have been done on their jobs. And so I'm having a problem with police officers. I have no problems whatsoever with police officers or unions. I'm for unions big time. But there's something wrong with this decision and the way things are being done. And we need a righteous action taking place by all sides involved. And so that's what I think.
And, you know, the reality is that if the arbitrator only hears one side, then they can't make an informed decision. If you haven't heard from the community, then how can you make a decision about whether or not that was appropriate or just, right? And that's one of the laws that has to change. We're going to bring another longtime activist up to the podium, Martin Gonzalez. Is he around? Oh, there he is. Hey, Martin.
It pains me to be here once again, yet to speak up against another injustice to our communities. Yesterday marked the 11th anniversary of the time when Jose Santos Mejia Pot was killed by Portland police on April 1st, 2001. In that case, the officers were later awarded medals by the police department. Today, we gather to protest the arbitrator's decision that calls for the reinstatement of Officer Frashour to the police force, and to lift up the value of the life of Aaron Campbell, killed by police officer Frashour. His reinstatement amounts to awarding him a medal for taking the life of an individual. I have been hopeful that the steps taken and the commitment made then by then Police Chief Rosie Sizer to fully investigate this case was a move in the right direction. A move that began to build up confidence in the community, a move that led to a thorough investigation and recommendation to dismiss this officer. Now the arbitrator calls for his reinstatement. What kind of confidence does this build in our community? None. What kind of message is being sent to our communities when the arbitrator writes, court decisions and the police bureau training have emphasized that officers need not wait to see a weapon before firing, so long as there is the reasonable possibility, considering all circumstances, that the suspect is pulling a gun. Frashour was not the only one disciplined in this incident, but he was the only one that pulled the trigger that day that killed Aaron Campbell. And all this without any directive to kill him. This is a slap at the face not only to the police bureau, but to our communities. The bureau recognized that he was out of bounds. We do not need this man patrolling our streets with a gun on his hands. Ya basta, Representative Lou Fredericks already said, ya basta, enough. I was glad to see here Dr. Bethel stated that he had met with an old college mate of mine, Daryl Turner, now president of the Police Association, because I recall that when he was running for office to be the president of the Police Association, he stated that he wanted to build better relationship with the community. But there is not a way in which we can say that his actions in regards to his speech.
How many of you want Officer Frashour back on the street? No! We will have another officer on the street who have used excessive deadly force without any penalty and any accountability. I am one of those mothers who worry about her children encountering a member of the Portland Police Department who might have preconceived ideas about my children because of what they look like, or what they are wearing or the way that they are carrying themselves. This is not a way of running a police department, and this is not a way of instilling confidence in the people who are here to protect and to serve our community. This decision comes on the heels of the Trayvon Martin case. This is another example of a system that rewards and supports unaccountable use of excessive force. There has not been an arrest in this case yet. What kind of message does this send to our children? What kind of message does this send to our community? It says that their life has no value. That's right. Is this the kind of message that we want to send to our children? The city of Portland has pledged to fight the decision of the state arbiter. And I urge the city of Portland to fight this robustly and until justice has been done. And finally, I would just like to close with the words of a hero of mine, Ella Baker, a hero of the civil rights movement, who says, "We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes." Well, we who believe in justice cannot rest until it comes. And we will continue to support the fight for justice for Aaron Campbell and Trayvon Martin until justice has been served. Thank you very much.
What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want?